Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. Tonight's story is one I'll never forget. It starts with talent, discipline, and a future that seemed guaranteed, but all it took was one spoiled person with power behind him to change everything. I believed hard work always wins. I believed if you stayed focused, life would reward you. I was wrong, because sometimes your biggest enemy isn't failure, it's corruption wearing authority. This is the story of how one student's revenge followed me far beyond the classroom and nearly stole the future I worked for. My name is Levi, and this is what happened. And back then, I believed life followed effort. If you worked hard, you moved forward. If you stayed disciplined, doors opened. That was how I was raised. My father was a respected doctor. My mother was a professor. Education was taken seriously in our home, and from an early age, I did well in school. I wasn't just passing, I was leading. Subjects others feared felt natural to me, and by the time I reached my final year, university seemed like the obvious next step. Then I met the one person who could poison an entire place. His name was Reiner. He was the principal's son. That fact explained everything about him. He was arrogant without achievement, loud without courage, and protected without deserving it. Teachers tolerated him, staff excused him, and students mostly avoided him. At first, I ignored him. People like that usually collapse when nobody feeds their ego. I was wrong. One day, our class joined a school academic competition. I was chosen to lead our group, and two close friends of mine were with me. Aaron, who laughed at everything, and Armin, who worried about everything. We gave our presentation, and it went well. Then Reiner presented after us. He made basic mistakes, stumbled over terms, and Aaron couldn't hold his laughter in. The room heard it. Reiner heard it most of all. When he came down, he pointed at Aaron and said, "Meet me outside after school if you're a man." That should tell you the kind of person he was. Public embarrassment, private violence. When school ended, he was waiting outside the gate with several boys and a stick in his hand. Not confidence. Back up. I pulled Aaron back inside and took him straight to the only teacher in the building who still had principals. Our physical education teacher, Erwin. We explained everything. He walked outside with us, saw Reiner hiding the stick, and dragged him directly to the principal's office. For one moment, I thought justice had entered the room. Then the principal defended his son. That was the day I learned some fathers raise men, while others raise disasters. Things quieted down for a while after that. No threats, no crowds waiting outside, no scenes in the hallway. But spoiled people rarely let go of humiliation. About a month later, after midday prayer, students were collecting their shoes in the usual mess outside the prayer area. I grabbed a pair that looked exactly like mine and returned to class. 10 minutes later, the door opened. An administrator walked in. Behind him was Reiner. He came straight to my desk, pointed at my feet, and announced to the room, "Those are mine." I looked down and realized they actually were. Same style, same color, same everything. I removed them immediately and handed them over. Honest mistake. End of story. But he hadn't come for sandals. He came for revenge. As I stood up, he shoved me in front of the class. Everyone watched. Nobody spoke. He smiled, put the sandals back on, and walked out proud of himself. I sat down quietly, but inside me something hardened. Because when adults keep rewarding bad behavior, eventually it becomes cruelty. After school, he waited again, this time with his group near the road. He mocked me, mocked my family, and tried to impress everyone by repeating that his father ran the school. So I answered him. "My father saves lives," I said. "Yours signs papers." The boys around him went silent. I added that my mother was a professor, and that titles meant nothing when the person wearing them was small inside. He followed me furious, shouting behind me the whole way. I bent down, picked up a stone, and threw it near him to scare him off. Instead, it struck him directly in the forehead. He screamed. I ran. The next morning, during assembly, the principal called my name over the microphone in front of the whole school. He dragged me to his office, accused me of attacking his son, and before I could properly speak, he deducted marks from both my behavior record and attendance. Those marks mattered. Universities reviewed them. Scholarships noticed them. He knew exactly what he was doing. It wasn't discipline. It was revenge wearing a tie. When I got my final report, my academic scores were excellent, but the deductions were real. My father confronted the principal personally, asked him to reverse the punishment, and was refused without shame. That was the moment my future shifted, because weeks later, while friends received university acceptance letters. I received nothing, and when I went to ask why, they looked at my file and told me the truth. Those deductions had followed me. When the university clerk looked over my file, typed for a few seconds, and then glanced back at me with pity, I already knew the answer before he spoke. He told me my academic grades were strong enough, but the deductions in behavior and attendance had damaged my application. In simple words, I had done everything right in class and still been pushed aside because one bitter man wanted revenge. I thanked him, walked out of the building, and sat in my car for a long time without starting the engine. Around me, students were celebrating admissions, calling families, planning futures. I was staring at a steering wheel, trying to understand how effort could lose to corruption so easily. That was the first time I truly felt lost. For the next few months, I stayed home more than I'd like to admit. I told myself I was resting, regrouping, waiting for the next semester to apply again, but the truth was simpler. I was wounded. When you grow up believing life rewards discipline, betrayal hits differently. My father still believed another path would open. My mother encouraged me not to lose momentum. My friends tried to pull me out of the mood whenever they could. But every time someone asked, "So which university did you get into?" it felt like reopening a wound. When the next admission cycle came, I applied again. And again, nothing. That was when something changed inside me. If doors were not opening through education, then I would build another path myself. I decided to work. I had never needed a resume before, so I went to a small neighborhood copy shop where a man helped people prepare documents, print forms, and apply for jobs. I handed him my papers and told him I needed a CV. He looked at me and asked, "What skills do you have?" I said I knew computers well, could manage basic software, understood systems faster than most people, and spoke some English. He nodded as he typed. Then, while we were talking, another man entered the shop. He looked ordinary enough at first, middle-aged, confident, the kind of person who acts comfortable everywhere. He was buying office folders in bulk and speaking casually with the employee behind a desk. At some point, he glanced at me and asked, "You looking for work?" I said yes. "What kind?" "Anything honest." He laughed at that word. Then he said something that changed the direction of my life. "I may have something for you." He introduced himself as Zeke. He said he owned a company and needed someone young, dependable, and comfortable with computers. The work sounded simple enough. Sit at a desk, scan physical documents into digital files, organize records, and send them by email. Office work. Clean work. He first joked about a terrible position with brutal hours and almost no pay, then smiled and offered the real one. A few hours a day. Around $3,000 a month. At my age, in that moment, it sounded like rescue. He told me to come the following Wednesday at 11 in the morning to an office building downtown. I agreed immediately. When opportunity appears after months of rejection, you don't inspect it carefully enough. That was mistake number 2. I didn't tell my father right away. I wanted to secure the job first, then surprise him with proof that I was moving forward. When the day came, I arrived almost an hour early. I remember standing outside the building, checking the time repeatedly, trying to look calmer than I felt. Then I saw Zeke near the entrance smoking. He looked at me, smiled, tossed the cigarette away, and said, "I didn't think you'd actually come this early." He led me upstairs. The office was on an upper floor, and the room he showed me was small, boxed in by walls on 3 sides with a glass door facing the corridor. Inside were a desk, a computer, a scanner, and a printer. "That's your station," he said. No interview. No paperwork at first. No proper onboarding. Just a room waiting for someone desperate enough not to ask questions. But at the time, I saw something else. I saw a start. The work itself was easy. He gave me files. I scanned them, converted them, organized them, and sent them where requested. I learned the system quickly, faster than they expected. Days turned into weeks. I got comfortable. Too comfortable. When payday came, Zeke called me into his office and casually asked whether I had signed a contract. I told him no one had given me one. He laughed, paid me in cash, then had papers brought in for me to sign on the spot. I didn't read them carefully. I was too focused on the money in my hand and the relief of finally earning my own income. I went home proud that night. My father was pleased. My mother smiled. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like I had repaired the damage done by that principle. What I didn't understand was that I hadn't repaired anything. I had only stepped into the next chapter. A month later, Zeke introduced a new system: employee logins, username and password attendance tracking. Every morning, you had to sign into the office computer before a certain time to register as present. He explained it casually, but I noticed something strange. Some employees didn't seem worried by it at all. They exchanged looks, smirked, and carried on as if the rule didn't apply to them. One of them approached me later and said quietly, "There's an easier way." At first, I thought he meant skipping work. I had no idea he meant something much bigger. And that small shortcut would lead me toward frozen bank accounts, fake wealth, and people far more dangerous than school bullies.
By the time I had been in that office for a few months, I knew the routine so well that I could do most of it half awake. I would arrive, scan stacks of papers, organize files, send emails, and go home. It wasn't glamorous work, but after everything that had happened, routine felt valuable. I was earning my own money, helping at home when I could, and slowly rebuilding the confidence I had lost after the university rejections. That was exactly why I didn't question things enough. One afternoon, after Zeke introduced the login attendance system, one of the older employees pulled me aside. He was friendly in the way some people are when they're about to involve you in something they themselves no longer fear. He asked if I had a computer at home. I said yes. He then explained that if I installed a remote access program, I could connect to my office computer from home, enter my username and password, and register as present without physically being there at the start of the day. According to him, everyone did it from time to time. It saved sleep, avoided traffic, and made life easier. He said it like he was sharing wisdom. At my age, convenience sounds smarter than risk. So I did it. For the next few weeks, I would sometimes wake up, connect remotely, sign in, and arrive later without being marked absent. It felt harmless. If anything, I told myself I was still doing the work, so what difference did a few hours make? That is how dangerous habits begin. Not with evil, but with excuses. Then one day Zeke called me into his office. His tone was warm, almost fatherly. He asked me to sit down, asked how my financial situation was, asked whether my salary was enough, asked what car I drove, and whether I wanted more from life. It was an odd conversation, but he carried it with such ease that I answered honestly. No, the salary wasn't enough. No, my car wasn't impressive. Yes, I wanted more. He smiled as if I had passed a test. Then he began talking about his son, who was traveling abroad, driving expensive cars, living freely. He described luxury the way some people describe religion, with reverence. After that, he leaned forward and said, "Wouldn't you like to live like that too?" There are questions that are really invitations. That was one of them. I asked what he meant. He said he knew a man overseas who understood markets, investments, digital trading, someone who could teach me how money actually works. According to Zeke, ordinary people traded time for salary, but smart people made money move for them. When you're young and feel delayed in life, those words hit hard. He gave me an international phone number and told me to mention his name. That evening I called. The man introduced himself as Taro. His voice was smooth, confident, practiced. He spoke like someone who had repeated the same script many times and perfected every pause. He told me Zeke had spoken highly of me. He said I seemed sharp, ambitious, and exactly the kind of person who shouldn't waste years earning small salaries. Then he said he would show me how wealth begins. All I needed was a computer and a small amount of money to start. The next day, at the time he requested, I sat in front of my screen while he guided me through a trading platform. I linked my bank card, funded a tiny amount, and followed his instructions step by step. Buy now, I clicked. Sell. I clicked again. Within minutes, the balance had increased. Not by much, but enough to shock me. He congratulated me calmly, as though this were nothing special. Then he guided me into another small trade. That one made more. By the end of the session, I was staring at numbers on the screen that had appeared faster than I could earn them in days at work. I asked if I could withdraw the money. He laughed softly and said, "Of course." 3 days later, the transfer landed in my account. That deposit changed something dangerous inside me. Until then, I still believed money came from effort. Now I had seen money arrive through a screen while sitting in my room. And once someone experiences easy money, ordinary money starts to feel slow. I began speaking with Taro regularly. At first, he was cautious. Small trades, tiny profits, frequent reminders to be patient and disciplined. He made himself sound like a mentor, not a salesman. Within a short time, I had turned modest amounts into a few $100s. To someone already working a regular job, that felt unbelievable. I started comparing my office salary to these digital gains and wondering why I was waking up early at all. Zeke encouraged it too. He told me I was thinking bigger now. He joked that soon I wouldn't need the company. Looking back, I can see how carefully they played their roles. One built trust in person. The other built temptation from a distance. At the time, I thought I had found two people helping me rise. Then came the phone call that moved everything forward. It was late afternoon on the last workday of the week. I had just come home tired and lay down to rest when Taro called with unusual urgency. "There's a major opportunity right now," he said. "A rare one." I sat up immediately. He asked how much capital I had available. I told him. He said it wasn't enough, but not to worry. The platform could extend temporary leverage. I could control a far larger position, profit quickly, repay the borrowed amount, and keep the gain. He said it so casually that it sounded normal. I hesitated only briefly. Then I opened the computer. That decision would lead to frozen bank accounts, police questions, and doors being kicked open. But in that moment, all I saw was the chance to catch up to everyone who had moved ahead of me.
I got home that afternoon tired from work and was about to rest when Taro called me sounding different than usual. He was more energetic, more urgent, like something important had just happened. He told me there was a strong opportunity in the market right now and that I needed to get on the computer immediately. He asked how much money I had available in the account. I told him roughly what I had, and he said it would be enough because the platform could increase the buying power temporarily. At the time, I didn't fully understand what that meant. I just knew he had helped me make money before, so I trusted him more than I should have. I opened the computer, logged in, and followed his instructions step by step. He told me when to enter and kept talking the whole time, so I wouldn't hesitate. I could hear how confident he was, and that confidence affected me. When someone sounds certain, you stop hearing your own doubts. A few minutes later, he told me to close the trade. I clicked. Then I just stared at the screen. The balance had jumped to an amount that felt unreal. It was far more money than I had ever seen connected to my own name. For a moment, I forgot everything else. I forgot risk, forgot logic, forgot how strange the whole situation was. I was just shocked. I asked him if it was real. He laughed and said, "Now you understand why some people stay poor. They think too small." That sentence stayed with me because, at the time, I believed him. The first thing I wanted was to withdraw the money. I asked him how fast I could transfer it to my bank. He asked what kind of account I had, and when I said it was a normal personal account, he told me that an amount this size would be difficult to process that way. He said I needed a business account. He made it sound normal, like this was just the next step people take when they start making serious money. So the next morning, I went to the bank. I sat with an employee and asked to open a business account. He asked for company registration papers, ownership details, business activity documents, things I didn't have and had never even thought about. The conversation ended quickly. I walked out feeling embarrassed and called Taro right away. He didn't sound surprised at all. That should have told me something. Instead, he calmly said, "No problem. Go home. We'll do it another way." He always had another way. When I got home, he explained a new plan. He said their company worked with clients in different countries and needed trusted people locally to receive payments, move money between banks, and send funds where needed. He said because I had already proven myself, he wanted to give me that role. He also said I would be paid very well for helping. To me, it sounded like I was being promoted into something bigger. To anyone thinking clearly, it should have sounded suspicious. He told me to open accounts in multiple banks. Different cards, different branches, different options. He even told me one specific bank to avoid because they asked too many questions. At the time, I thought he was experienced. Now I know he was just careful. Over the next few days, I opened accounts anywhere I could. Once I sent him the details, money started arriving. At first it was small amounts. A few thousand here, another transfer there. Then it grew. He would message me with instructions, withdraw part of it, send some to another account, deposit some elsewhere, keep a percentage for myself. Every time I followed instructions, more money came. And because I was getting paid, I kept convincing myself it must be legitimate. That's how easy it is to fool someone when they benefit from the lie. I was still going to work at the office too, acting like everything was normal. Zeke would sometimes ask how things were going with a smile on his face, and I thought he was being supportive. I didn't realize he already knew exactly what was happening. Within a short time, I had made more money than I thought possible at that age. My regular salary started feeling small. I began thinking maybe this strange path was actually the smart one. Maybe everyone else was just too slow to see it. Then one morning my phone started ringing. A bank employee asked about a transfer I had received. Not long after, another bank called asking whether I personally knew the person I had sent money to. Then another. Then another. At first I repeated the same story Taro had given me. Company payments, client transfers, financial processing. But the questions kept coming, and the tone was different each time. These weren't friendly calls. These were people already suspicious, trying to see if my answers matched. By midday, one bank informed me that my account had been temporarily restricted. Then a second account was frozen. Then a third. I sat there holding my phone, feeling the excitement disappear completely. For weeks I had felt lucky. Now I felt exposed. I called Taro immediately. He sounded irritated more than concerned. He said personal accounts always create problems when activity gets bigger. He told me to relax and said it would be handled. But I couldn't relax anymore. While he was talking, another notification appeared on my phone. Your account has been locked pending review. That was the first moment I stopped thinking about profit and started thinking about danger. I ended the call, got in my car, and drove toward the office. Because if I had been dragged into something illegal, there was one person who had been near this from the beginning. Zeke. And I needed answers face to face. I drove to the office faster than I should have. My head was full of questions, and none of them had good answers. Why were multiple accounts being frozen at once? Why did Taro always have prepared explanations? Why had Zeke been so interested in my finances from the beginning? And the biggest question of all, had I just been used? By the time I parked, my anger had replaced most of the fear. I went upstairs and walked straight to the office floor. It was quieter than usual. A few people were around, but something felt off. The normal relaxed mood was gone. People avoided eye contact, spoke less, and moved like they didn't want to be noticed. I asked where Zeke was. Someone told me he was inside one of the back rooms. I went straight there. The door was locked. I knocked hard and called his name. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. At that point, I wasn't interested in being polite anymore. I shoved the door hard, and when it opened inward, I stepped inside ready for an argument. Instead, I found panic. Zeke was in the room with papers spread across the desk, 2 phones beside him, and a face that looked nothing like the confident man from before. He looked tired, shaken, and caught. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other. Then I asked the only thing that mattered. What did you involve me in? He tried the usual first move. Calm voice, small smile. Act like nothing serious was happening. Relax, Levi. Sit down. I stayed standing. He told me the banks overreact sometimes, that financial systems flag normal movement, that everything would be sorted soon. I asked him directly whether the money coming through my accounts was clean. He didn't answer. That silence gave me more truth than words could have. I told him my accounts were freezing one after another and that I wanted out immediately. He said walking away now would only make things worse. According to him, the best thing I could do was cooperate, stay calm, and keep following instructions until things cooled down. That was the moment I understood something important. People who trap others always present obedience as safety. I left the room before my anger pushed me into doing something stupid. Outside, I called the only person I thought might actually understand what was happening, Aaron. I explained everything from the trading platform to the transfers to the frozen accounts. He listened quietly, which was rare for him. Then he said he knew someone I needed to speak to, that someone was a friend of his older brother, a quiet guy everyone described as brilliant with computers, the kind of person who understood systems the way mechanics understand engines. We met that night. His name was L. He wasn't dramatic, didn't try to impress anyone, and barely wasted words. I told him the whole story. He asked sharp questions I should have asked myself weeks earlier. Who owned the platform? Where were the funds really coming from? Why did they need personal accounts? Why did they avoid certain banks? Why were you chosen? Each question made me feel more foolish. Then he said something that hit hardest. You were never the investor. I asked what he meant. He said the profits shown on the platform may have been nothing more than numbers on a screen designed to gain trust. The real operation, in his opinion, was the movement of money through people like me. In simple terms, I had not been recruited to get rich. I had been recruited to carry risk. That night, he helped me review everything I still had access to: emails, messages, login details, transaction trails, names, times, patterns. The more we looked, the clearer it became. The company office wasn't some growing business. It was a front built around paperwork, appearances, and young employees who asked few questions. Some knew more than others. Some probably knew everything. L told me to stop all movement immediately, document everything, and prepare for formal questions from banks or authorities. He also warned me not to trust any sudden promises from Zeke or Taro. Then, while we were still going through messages, a new one arrived. From Taro. It said, "If you think you understand what's happening now, try to stop me." For the first time since this began, I wasn't tempted. I was angry. The following days were ugly. I had to explain transactions, respond to calls, gather records, and untangle what I could. Some accounts stayed frozen for a while. Some were reviewed and released later. It was stressful, embarrassing, and exhausting. My parents eventually learned the full story. I expected rage. Instead, I got disappointment mixed with relief that I had come forward before it became worse. My father said something simple that stayed with me longer than any lecture. Losing money can be repaired. Losing judgment is more expensive. He was right. As for Zeke, the office slowly emptied. People stopped showing up. Doors stayed closed. Calls went unanswered. The confident atmosphere that once impressed me disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. And Taro, men like that don't vanish completely. They just move to the next phone number, the next platform, the next young person who feels behind in life and wants to catch up quickly. That is why I tell this story. Because the trap was never greed alone. It was frustration. It was pride. It was wanting to recover lost time so badly that I stopped respecting slow progress. Looking back now, the principal who damaged my school record, the fake opportunities, the frozen accounts, all of it taught the same lesson in different forms. Never hand your future to dishonest people just because they promise speed. Some doors open slowly because they are real. The dangerous ones swing open fast.